Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the all new book that I'm going to showcase here within my channel. Something actually related on the cryptids and monsters side. I found this book the other day on the archive.org website, and it's called Mysterious Monsters, Fact or Fiction. The reason why it intrigued me and I wanted to share it here is because of this. There is no one author with this book. Instead, there are multiple authors, and each one of them talks about a different cryptid. In fact, a lot of them I've talked about here on this channel as well. But here's the most intriguing part. Some of those chapters are actually dedicated towards analyzing cryptids on believing them, and another one is actually going the opposite, where it gives explanations, at least from the author's standpoint, as to why those cryptids are fake. So great stuff. That's why the book is called Mysterious Monsters, Fact or Fiction. And I thought this was a great way to showcase both sides of arguments and talk about cryptids at the same time. Absolutely amazing stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's do part one of the book Mysterious Monsters, Fact or Fiction. This is the foreword, and here's what it states. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt in your philosophy. This is a quote by William Shakespeare from Hamlet. And then there's another quote that says, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, by Carl Sagan in his book, The Demon Haunted World. Here's what the foreword states. Almost every one of us has experienced something that we thought seemed mysterious and unexplainable. For example, have you ever known that someone was going to call you just before the phone rang? Or perhaps you have had a dream about something that later came true. Some people think these occurrences are signs of the paranormal. Others explain them as merely coincidence. As the examples above show, mysteries of the paranormal, i.e. beyond the normal, are common. For example, most towns have at least one place where inhabitants believe ghosts live. People report seeing strange lights in the sky that they believe are the spaceships of visitors from other planets. And scientists have been working for decades to discover the truth about sightings of mysterious creatures like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. There are also mysteries of magic and miracles. The two often share a connection. Many forms of magical belief are tied to religious belief. For example, many of the rituals and beliefs of the voodoo religion are viewed by outsiders as magical practices. These include such things as the alleged Haitian voodoo practice of turning people into zombies, i.e., the walking dead. There are the mysteries of history, the events and places that have been recorded in history but that are still have questions about them today. For example, was the great King Arthur a real king or merely a legend? How exactly were the pyramids built? Historians continue to seek the answers to these questions. Then, of course, there are mysteries of science. One such mystery is how humanity began. Although most scientists agree that it was through the long, slow process of evolution, not all scientists agree that indisputable proof has been found. Subjects like these are fascinating, in part because we do not know the whole truth about them. They are mysteries and they are controversial. People hold very strong and opposing views about them. How we go about sifting through information on such topics is the subject of every book in the Greenhaven Press series Fact or Fiction. Each anthology includes articles that presents the main ideas favoring and challenging a given topic. The editor collects such material from a variety of sources, including scientific research, eyewitness accounts, and government reports. In addition, a final chapter gives readers tools to analyze the articles they read. With these tools, readers can sift through the information presented in the articles by applying the methods of hypothetical reasoning. Examining these topics in this way adds a unique aspect to the fact or fiction series. Hypothetical reasoning can be applied to any topic to allow a reader to become more analytical about the material he or she encounters. While such reasoning may not solve the mystery of who is right or who is wrong, it can help the reader separate valid from invalid evidence relating to all topics and can be especially helpful in analyzing material where people disagree. So let's go ahead and let's talk about that real quick. It sounds like this is right up my alley in my channel here. I present evidence as is, and then it's up to the people, you viewers, my fellow peeps, to be able to decide what is right, what is wrong, what is fact, what is fiction. So it's actually based on Art Bell. That's the way Art Bell did it. I love the way he did his show. He would just bring on guests. He would talk about certain topics. He never gave an indication really as to what side he was on that topic. He just decided to showcase it and let the readers or the listeners decide. So basically, that's what I do here as well. Next part is the introduction. Here, they actually talk about several cryptids. It seems like they lumped several cryptids into little bites here and there. So here's what it states. Introduction: the search for mysterious monsters. First one is the witch cat. The tiny beast crouches and peers out from a tree in the nighttime jungle, its huge pale eyes glowing in the moonlight. Its black fur makes it almost invisible in the darkness, but those who have seen it say that the third finger on each hand is strangely long and thin, and its ears are disproportionately large. Locals sometimes call this little goblin the witch cat. They think its appearance foretells death, and they take care to avoid or kill it. Next little mini segment is called the Loveland Frog. On March 3rd, 1972, an anonymous police officer was driving on Riverside Road in Loveland, Ohio, when he saw what looked like a dog on the icy road. He pulled over and shone his headlights on it. It suddenly stood up, jumped over the guardrail, and went down the embankment into the Miami River. The officer described the creature as being 3 to 4 feet tall, about 50 to 75 pounds, leathery skin, and a frog or lizard-like face. 2 weeks later, another officer also reported seeing this creature. And then the introduction goes into the next segment. Someone encountering creatures such as those described above would probably think they were frightening and mysterious monsters. Yet there are differences between the two. The witch cat is actually an aye-aye, a member of the lemur family. It is actually shy and harmless. The strangest thing about it is that it has long been thought to be extinct. Then in 1986, 3 aye-ayes were discovered and captured by scientists for study. The second creature described above is not well documented. Most scientists consider it a myth, or at best, a misconception of a common animal, perhaps a dog, as the officer first thought when he was seen. Just as the aye-aye and the Loveland frog are quite different creatures, so are the people who study them. Scientists who study animals are called zoologists. However, there is a special field for people who study unknown animals. It is called cryptozoology, meaning the study of hidden or unknown animals. The term was coined by French zoologist Bernard Heuvelmans in the 1950s. He is generally considered the father of cryptozoology because he was one of the first scientists to seriously consider mystery creatures. Cryptozoologist Loren Coleman further details cryptozoology as the study of hidden animals that are this time not formally recognized by what is often termed Western science or zoology, but that are supported in some way by testimony from a human being. Matthew Bile, another cryptozoologist, gave his first book a title that perfectly sums up the subject matter of cryptozoology. It's called Rumors of Existence, Newly Discovered, Supposedly Extinct, and Unconfirmed Inhabitants of the Animal Kingdom. In very basic terms, zoologists try to learn all they can about known animals, and cryptozoologists seek knowledge about rumored animals. Animals that have not yet been discovered, animals that are supposedly extinct, such as the aye-aye, but may not be, and legendary animals whose existence is unconfirmed. If there is a mysterious monster to be studied, it is likely that those who investigate it will be cryptozoologists. And then there's another mini segment, the living fossil. In 1938, fishermen off the coast of South Africa hauled in the strangest catch of their life. It was 5 feet long and had stumpy feet-like pectoral fins. The monster fish looked like nothing they had ever seen. In fact, when they took it ashore, it was so unusual that scientists studied it. They determined that it was a fish that they had never before ever seen by modern humans. The only prior evidence of its existence was in fossils millions of years old. Next segment is called the Mongolian death worm. If you intrude upon the Algoi Korhai, you risk death, says the people of Mongolia's remote Gobi Desert. People describe the Algoi Korhai, or Mongolian death worm, as a fat, sausage-like worm that lives under the desert sands most of the year, but emerges during the hot months of June and July. No one is quite sure how it kills its victims, but many think it is through spitting some kind of poison. It is said to have killed more than 100 people during the 20th century. Next segment is called Deep Sea Monster. A ghostly 23-foot long creature glides through the deep sea, its gossamer fins billowing against the black water. Its arms, more than a half of its total length, trail behind like delicate threads, reported Science magazine in December 2002. Scientists said it is a species of squid so unusual that is distinctly different from other known squids. Never before seen until recently, squids like this one have been captured on videotape 8 times in 4 different oceans. Next segment is called Giant Ocean Worms. In 1977, scientists ascended to the depths of the ocean off the Galapagos Islands to study continental drift. Arthur Matthew Ball reports, almost 9,000 feet down, the crew stared at a landscape from a science fiction film. Geothermal vents gushed hot, mineral-laden blue water from the ocean floor. Surrounding the vents was a densely packed colony of animals, many of which existed nowhere else. Tube worms, looking like 8-foot-long white hoses, with red feather dusters poking from their open ends clustered at the side. The animals had no mouths or digestive tract, just a section of brown, spongy tissue. And then the next segment is called Cryptozoology and the Search for Mysterious Monsters. Cryptozoology is not quite well defined and established as science as zoology. A zoologist has an academic zoology degree, but cryptozoologists have different kinds of backgrounds. Some, like Hovemans and British cryptozoologist Carl P.N. Shuker, have zoology degrees. Others have scientific training in other fields, have training in investigation techniques, or are avid enthusiasts, self-educated in cryptozoology. Although professional cryptozoologists such as Hovemans, deceased in 2001, and Shuker work hard to keep the profession on a sound, scientific footing, many scientists do not consider a serious field. This is not only because of the varied academic credentials or lack of them, of the people who call themselves cryptozoologists, but also because of the strange subjects the field covers and because many of the quote-unquote unknown animals that cryptozoologists study have little scientific evidence to support their existence. In essence, many cryptids, mystery animals, are little more than rumors to mainstream scientists. What are some of the mysterious monsters cryptozoologists and others seek? Perhaps the best known are Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch and by many other names in other countries, and the Loch Ness Monster. These two have captured and held the public imagination for decades. Others include the Chupacabras, Mothman, the Dover Demon, all discussed in this book, the Dundurbird, the Jersey Devil, and many more. The nature of mysterious monsters makes them difficult to study scientifically. All are elusive despite decades of hunting for them. No one has ever captured any of these creatures in the flesh. Few of them leave concrete physical evidence behind, evidence such as hair, fingerprints, teeth, or blood. In a few cases, bits of physical evidence have been found, but when they have been examined in scientific laboratories, the results have tended to be either negative or inconclusive. Bigfoot is one cryptid that has supposedly left footprints in a number of locations, but the results of analysis of those footprints have been debated for many years. Some are clearly fake, and scientists, including zoologists and cryptozoologists, cannot reach agreement on whether others are genuine evidence of a mysterious monster. Likewise, photographs and even movie film have been taken of some cryptids, but again, analysis is inconclusive. The pictures tend to be taken from a distance, resulting in fuzzy pictures so that it is almost impossible to tell what they actually show. Let me go ahead and I'll pause it here, and then I'll save the rest of the introduction, which is a couple more pages, for another part. But interesting stuff, right? This gives you an idea essentially of what this book, Mysterious Monsters, Facts or Fiction, is basically going to do. It's going to segment various cryptids, various monsters throughout several chapters. It's probably going to discuss several of them, twice at least. One, again, focusing on what makes it real, at least evidence, encounters, and so on. And then the other part talking about why it's fake, or why at least they're misinterpreted as some other creatures altogether. This introduction is basically showcasing what that is. And when I was looking at the book, there's about maybe 14 chapters dedicated to this. So great stuff. Can't wait to share with everyone what happens afterward. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you've read this book. Let me know if this is something you want me to discuss further. I always love seeing those comments as well. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care.